Imagine a world where, in the face of any emotional storm, you remain unwavering, like a solid rock amidst a turbulent sea. What would it be like to live without being swept away by the emotions of daily life, maintaining serenity even in the most challenging moments? In this video, we will explore the powerful tools of Stoicism that can turn this vision into reality, guiding you towards a life of calm and resilience. In the quest for calm in a chaotic world, you've encountered philosophies, advice, and countless techniques. Today, we dive into one of the oldest and still relevant schools of thought, Stoicism. This philosophy doesn't promise a problem-free life, but a way to face challenges with unbreakable strength. The wise Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome didn't beat around the bush. Their focus was simple. You cannot control external events. You can only control how you respond to them. And here lies the power of inner serenity. It sounds challenging, and it is, but it's also liberating. Have you ever stopped to think about how Stoicism can transform your life? If this philosophy resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like for more content like this. And to show you're committed to this journey of self-discovery and emotional control, comment, "My serenity is unwavering." Leave that comment, and I'll leave a little heart on it to acknowledge your commitment to a more balanced life. Now that you've commented, let's move forward. Imagine reaching a mental state where life's storms don't disturb your inner peace. Inner serenity, the ultimate goal of Stoicism, isn't cold indifference, but a quiet strength that allows you to navigate life with clarity and determination. Do traffic jams frustrate you? Does work stress get the better of you? Do the news upset you? Stoic philosophy teaches you to stay calm in the face of all this. But don't be mistaken, it's not about suppressing emotions, but understanding them, managing them with reason, seeing them from a perspective where they don't dominate your decisions or well-being. Stoicism challenges you to look within yourself, to question your automatic responses, and to cultivate emotional resilience that few achieve. This won't always be what you want to hear. It will require discipline, force you to face uncomfortable truths about yourself. And yes, sometimes you'll feel like you're rowing against the current. But in the end, you'll find yourself in calmer waters and be the firm captain of your own ship, not a leaf carried by the winds of circumstance. So, if you're ready for this journey, get ready to explore how the Stoics teach us to separate our emotions from our circumstances, how proper perception can be the difference between distress and tranquility, and how you can start applying these age-old principles in your modern life to find the serenity you seek. Get ready, because we're going to dive into the heart of a philosophy that has stood the test of time and may be exactly what you need to transform your life. Imagine you have a rope in your hands. Let's continue. Imagine you have a rope in your hands, one that pulls you in directions you don't always choose. Life confronts us with a myriad of such situations, where it seems we're dragged by forces beyond our control. But now imagine that rope loosening. What the Stoics teach us is precisely this. Most things are beyond our control, but we can always let go of the rope. We control our perceptions, our decisions, our responses. When traffic stops and you're stuck between cars, there's no way to move the vehicles in front of you, but you have the freedom to choose not to let your serenity be affected by this setback. That's something within your reach. You can decide to use this moment to listen to your favorite music or dive into an interesting podcast. Stoicism teaches us to turn these experiences into opportunities. Now I propose a simple exercise. Take a sheet of paper and draw 2 columns. In one, list the things that are out of your control. The weather, what people think, what's already happened. In the other column, write what is under your control. Your actions, your way of thinking, your effort. This is the beginning of Stoic freedom, recognizing where your true power lies. Of course, this isn't easy and isn't a transformation that happens overnight. It requires practice and sincerity. The truth is, even though we wish to control everything, we simply can't. And while that may be uncomfortable to admit, it's also liberating. By accepting this, we begin to direct our energy where we can truly make a difference, ourselves. This Stoic approach won't guarantee success as society often defines it. It won't promise wealth, fame, or a life without stumbles, but it will offer something much more precious: the tranquility of knowing that no matter what happens externally, your inner world can remain unshaken. It will teach you to live in harmony with your essence, not to waste your emotions on things you can't change, and to act with virtue and purpose on what you can influence. Keep that sheet nearby. When you feel frustrated by something out of your control, look at it, remind yourself, and soon you'll be able to do this mental exercise without the paper. And that will be a sign that you're cultivating stoic inner strength. And when you truly understand and live according to what is and isn't under your control, then and only then, you'll start experiencing a life with less frustration and more fulfillment. You're in the middle of a storm, not literally, but one of those life storms that shake you deeply. Now stop and reflect. What would happen if you could stay calm, unaffected, as if in the eye of this storm where everything is serene? This is what we call ataraxia, a term you might not hear often, but it holds the secret to emotional control. Ataraxia means an inner peace that remains unchanged, regardless of external circumstances. Here's a truth you might not want to hear. Most of your stress and anxiety comes from within, not from outside. It's your reactions to events, not the events themselves, that disturb this peace. But the good news is, this means you have the power to change. To develop ataraxia, start with the practice of mindfulness, being present in the moment. When you feel overwhelmed, pause, take a deep breath, feel the air entering your lungs, observe the world around you, listen to the sounds, feel the ground beneath your feet. This act of full awareness centers you and brings you back to the only moment you can truly control, the now. Practice this daily. Start with just 1 or 2 minutes. It can be while brushing your teeth, walking to work, or even in the middle of a meeting. It's a habit, and like any habit, the more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Gradually, you'll notice that things that once shook you now leave you serene, not because they don't matter, but because you've learned to find that center of calm within yourself. Ataraxia doesn't mean you don't live life or become insensitive to others' experiences. It means you choose not to let waves of emotion drag you. You don't distance yourself from life, but approach it with a new perspective, allowing you to navigate its tides with a mastery few achieve. This is the path to an inner strength few know, and as you follow this path, each step, each conscious breath, each moment of mindfulness brings you closer to that unbreakable inner peace. This is the gift ataraxia gives you. It's the promise of Stoicism, and it's something within your reach, here and now. You face a problem, one of those that seem to consume your entire mind. But what if I told you the problem isn't as big as you think? Often, what overwhelms us isn't the event itself, but the narrative we create around it. The Stoics offer us a powerful tool, objective vision. Seeing things as they really are, not worse than they are, and certainly not better than they are. This is seeing with clarity, without the filter of intense emotions. Stoic objectivity is like observing the world through a crystal clear glass, without the stains of our biases and automatic reactions. But how do we achieve this clarity? Here's a practical exercise. Whenever you face a challenge, put it on paper using only facts, without emotional adjectives, without assumptions or interpretations. For example, instead of saying, "I have a terrible problem at work," write, "There's a situation at work that needs my attention." This exercise helps remove the emotional weight from the problem, allowing you to face it with more calm and efficiency. You'll see that by doing this, many problems that seemed gigantic in your mind become in fact much more manageable. This isn't minimizing the seriousness of certain situations, but recognizing that by seeing things as they truly are, we can respond appropriately. Being objective also means understanding our own limitations and biases. It means being willing to admit we're not always right, and that our first reactions may not be the complete truth. This may be uncomfortable, even painful at first, but it's an essential step toward emotional maturity and stoic wisdom. Because when we start to see objectively, when we remove the emotional weight from our perceptions, we begin to make more balanced decisions. We become more compassionate, more honest, and ultimately more effective in all areas of our life. This is the promise of stoic objectivity, a life lived with clarity, purpose, and peace, regardless of the storms that may arise. Facing fears isn't for the faint of heart. But here, in the realm of Stoicism, it's exactly where we delve. The premeditation of evils, or premeditatio malorum, is a technique that might seem counterintuitive at first, deliberately imagining what could go wrong. Why? Not to create fear, but to reduce it, to mentally prepare for the challenges that may arise. This exercise is about mental strengthening. Just as an athlete prepares for a competition, you prepare for life. Start by visualizing a challenge you might face, an important presentation, a difficult conversation, or even a possible setback. Visualize it in detail. What's the worst that could happen? How would you feel? What would you do? Now here's the key. Once you visualize the worst-case scenario, start planning how you would handle it. What internal resources could you use? What actions would you take to recover? This process equips you with a mental plan, reduces the fear of the unknown, and gives you confidence because you've already mentally faced these challenges and emerged victorious. You might not like this approach. It might seem negative or pessimistic, but the Stoics weren't pessimists. They were supreme realists. It's not about expecting the worst, but being prepared for it, which actually allows you to live with greater freedom and daring. Integrate this practice into your daily routine. Dedicate a few moments every morning to the premeditation of evils. You might find that by anticipating challenges and acknowledging you can handle them, day-to-day life becomes less intimidating. This not only makes you more resilient, but also allows you to appreciate more deeply the moments when things go well. This is the art of Stoic anticipation, not an invitation to fear, but a preparation for life in its rawest and most real form. It's a tool that sharpens your mind and strengthens your spirit, allowing you to face whatever comes with a tranquility that many wish for, but few achieve. Look around and see people who seem trapped by their desires, successes, failures, and relationships, each of these elements dictating their joy or sadness. Now, imagine for a moment that you could free yourself from these chains, not because they no longer matter, but because you've learned the art of emotional detachment. This isn't a journey to coldness, but to inner serenity. Stoic emotional detachment isn't coldness or indifference. It's the understanding that excessive attachment to things we can't control only leads to frustration. How can you practice this detachment in your daily life? Start with reflection. When you feel that a situation or object is absorbing too much of your emotional energy, ask a simple question. Is this under my control? If the answer is no, take a deep breath and imagine yourself letting go of that attachment, like a balloon rising into the sky until it disappears from view. Initially, this exercise might feel uncomfortable. It might seem like you're giving up something valuable. But what you're really doing is claiming your mental peace. Another strategy is to limit your exposure to sources of attachment. In a world flooded with stimuli and constant demands on our attention, consciously decide what you dedicate your time and energy to. It can be as simple as turning off phone notifications for a few hours, or as profound as learning to say no to commitments that don't serve you. This path to emotional detachment will free you from many of the internal turmoil you feel. It will allow you to face losses and failures with a serenity that will keep you steady, not because it doesn't hurt, but because you understand that life is a flow of experiences, and that suffering comes not from the experiences themselves, but from our resistance to accepting their transient nature. Incorporating emotional detachment into your life doesn't mean you don't care about the outcome of your efforts, but that you don't define yourself by them. You're not less passionate, you're more centered. You're not less ambitious, you're more balanced. And it's from this core of serenity that you can truly enjoy life and all it has to offer. Reflect on the last time something or someone disappointed you. Was it because you placed your happiness in the hands of others or something external? The Stoics offer us a powerful solution: autarky, or emotional self-sufficiency. It's not about building barriers between you and the world, but about cultivating a source of peace that resides entirely within you. Emotional self-sufficiency is like having an inner garden that only you can tend to and from which only you can harvest the fruits. It doesn't depend on external seasons, nor on the conditions of others' land, nor on the volatile climate of opinions and actions of others. It depends solely on you. How do you achieve this emotional independence? It starts by defining your own values, those that don't depend on the actions or approvals of others. Integrity, compassion. Then, live according to those values, not as a means to an end, but as a goal in itself. Thus, your satisfaction won't come from outside, but from the coherence between your actions and your values. Another method is practical self-sufficiency. Learn to enjoy your own company. Develop skills and interests that allow you to feel complete, even when you're alone. This can include reading, meditating, journaling, or any activity that nourishes you internally. You might face resistance, both from within and from outside, as you embark on this journey. Society often encourages us to seek happiness in material things, status, and others' recognition. But here and now, I invite you to look within, to find that fortress and contentment that can't be shaken, because they don't depend on anything but yourself. This self-sufficiency is true freedom. It's not an easy path, but it's one that leads to a life of authenticity, peace, and an unshakable personal power. It's the gift that autarky gives you, the ability to be the architect of your own emotional well-being. You face an avalanche of emotions, each clamoring for attention, each seeming urgent, vital, inevitable. But there's a power in you that's stronger than the most tumultuous feelings, reason, logic. This isn't cold nor ruthless. It's the light that dispels the fog of irrational emotions, allowing you to see the clear path ahead. When emotions threaten to take control, Stoics turn to reason as the most reliable ally. Feeling angry? Ask yourself, what triggered this emotion? Is it something within my control? Is my reaction proportional to the cause? These questions aren't meant to suppress the emotion, but to understand it, and thus decide the wisest action to take. Practicing Stoic logic can start with something as simple as a pause before reacting. Stop. This can be as brief as counting to 10 or as long as taking time to physically step away. In this pause, you're allowing your reason to reclaim its throne in the mind, from where it can judge with clarity, without being swept away by panic. Here's an exercise. At the end of the day, revisit moments when your emotions almost overflowed. Write down what happened, how you reacted, and, with the perspective of time, what your reason would have advised. This internal dialogue, this review, is a Stoic technique that reinforces the primacy of reason over emotional turmoil. You might not like hearing this, but not all emotions deserve to be followed. Some are misleading, others are exaggerated. Reason is your filter, your shield, your guide. It doesn't turn you into a robot, but into a fully functional human being, someone who knows when and how to express emotions productively, not destructively. So when you feel the waves of anger, sadness, or frustration are about to overwhelm you, remember that reason is your anchor. Use it and you'll find you can navigate any emotional storm with a sense of purpose and peace that makes you invulnerable to the whims of fate. Each day is a canvas, and you're the artist. But how often do we stop to observe the work we've painted? Daily reflection is like a mirror that shows not only your face, but your soul. The Stoics are straightforward. Personal growth is impossible without the habit of looking inward, of examining our actions, decisions, and emotions. At the end of the day, take a moment for yourself. It's time to set aside the world's noise and tune into your own frequency. Ask yourself, did I act in accordance with my values? Where could I have handled situations better? What did I learn today? This isn't indulgence in regret or self-pity. It's an act of brutal honesty with yourself. To make this a routine, you can use a journal. Dedicate a few minutes each night to writing down your thoughts. If writing isn't your forte, find a quiet place to simply meditate on these questions. The key is consistency. Do this every day, and it will become as natural a part of your routine as brushing your teeth. It's possible that you'll find it uncomfortable at first. It's possible that some truths about yourself will be hard to face, but this is the path to growth. Just as an athlete reviews their performance to improve, you must review your day to become a wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient version of yourself. Daily reflection is the tool that sharpens the mind and nourishes the soul. It's the silence after the song, the space between the chapters of your life. It's in this space that you can truly see progress, where you can plan change, where you can breathe and be honest about who you are and who you want to be. So while the world keeps spinning, take this moment of quiet, this daily ritual of reflection. It's here that you'll find the most valuable lessons, and it's here that you'll forge yourself into the person you're meant to be. Each emotion you feel is a master in disguise, waiting to reveal deep lessons about your truest self. Anger, fear, joy, sadness aren't mere passing states, they're signals. And if you learn to interpret them correctly, they become invaluable stoic feedback for your personal growth. When an emotion envelops you, instead of reacting immediately, pause. Ask yourself, what's triggering this emotion? What is this feeling telling me about my values, my expectations, or even my boundaries? This introspection turns a simple emotional reaction into a deeper understanding of yourself. Start seeing your emotions as data, as if each feeling were a piece of information helping you better understand how you interact with the world. If you feel frustrated, perhaps there's a barrier you need to overcome. If you're joyful, perhaps you've touched on something essential to your sense of purpose and happiness. To analyze your emotional responses, keep a record. When a strong emotion arises, note it down. Describe the situation, the emotion, and your immediate reaction. Then, reflect on how you could respond in a way more aligned with your stoic principles. Over time, you'll start to notice patterns, and these patterns will guide you to areas of your life that need development, change, or strengthening. It's not an easy process. It requires you to be both the scientist and the subject of your own life experiment. It requires courage to face emotions you might prefer to avoid. But courage is a quintessential stoic quality, and this process is a way to honor it. Emotions are the language of the body and soul, speaking in unison. Learning this language can lead to a life of greater authenticity and alignment with your true essence. Don't ignore your emotions. Listen to them. Learn from them to achieve deeper wisdom and a richer life. Perhaps you've heard the word apathy and thought of someone uninterested or unemotional. But at the heart of Stoicism, apathy is something entirely different. It's a conscious choice, the deliberate decision of which emotions you'll allow to influence you and which you'll let pass. It's not about not feeling, but about not being a slave to those feelings. The Stoics teach us to be selective with our emotional battles. Imagine each emotion as a potential opponent in the boxing ring of life. Some are worth your time and others are not. Learning to discern this is the essence of Stoic apathy. Do you feel irritated by a comment on social media? That's an opponent that doesn't deserve your energy. Do you feel inspired to change something in your life because of an injustice you perceive? That's a battle worth fighting. To practice this conscious selection, start by identifying the emotions throughout the day that drive you to act in ways that don't align with your values. Recognize them, name them, and then make a conscious choice. Will you engage with them or let them pass? You can even imagine a switch that controls your attention. Will you turn it on for this emotion or leave it in the dark? This doesn't mean you'll become insensitive or that nothing will affect you anymore. On the contrary, when you choose your emotional battles wisely, you commit much more deeply to the things that truly matter. Challenges that once disturbed you won't have the same power over you. Stoic apathy is ultimately a form of liberation. It frees you from the chains of automatic reactions and gives you the freedom to choose to respond instead of react. And this choice, this freedom, is a vital step toward the inner peace and personal strength that the Stoics valued above all. You face adversity, that relentless force of nature that has already toppled many. But you're not one of them because within you burns the fire of resilience, that stoic quality that turns obstacles into opportunities and defeats into lessons. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's built, forged in the heat of battle against life's setbacks. Stoic emotional strength isn't insensitivity. It's the ability to face adversity head-on and say, I'm still here, I can handle this. How do you develop this strength? Through gradual exposure and conscious challenge. Start with small challenges, things that push you out of your comfort zone but are manageable. It could be something as simple as public speaking or taking on a new project at work. Each time you face these challenges and survive, You become a little stronger. And not only that, but you also learn about your limits, your true capabilities, how fear is often worse than the situation itself. And when the real challenges come, the big ones, those that shake you to the core, you'll already have a history of victory over the small battles. That gives you confidence. Remember that you've overcome adversities before and can do it again. But here's something you might not want to hear. Resilience also means allowing yourself to feel the pain, the sadness, the disappointment. Not to let them consume you, but to let them teach you, so that once the storm passes, you rise not only intact, but improved. So when adversity knocks at your door, don't hide. Open it, meet it, and with each encounter, you'll build a perseverance that's unbreakable, a resilience that's invaluable, and a strength that's truly stoic. On this journey through emotion management based on Stoicism, you've equipped your mind with powerful tools. You've learned to distinguish between what's within your reach and what's not, to cultivate the serenity of ataraxia, and to observe situations as they really are, with an objectivity that protects you from emotional storms. You become familiar with the practice of premeditating challenges, preparing mentally for what may come. You've explored the freedom emotional detachment offers, the peace that comes from internal self-sufficiency, and the clarity reason brings over impulsive reactions. You've committed to the practice of daily self-reflection, turning each emotion into a learning opportunity, and learn to choose your emotional battles with the wisdom of stoic apathy. Now, I invite you to take these principles beyond this environment and apply them in your daily life. When facing adversities, remember the strength and resilience you've cultivated here. Emotional management is an art, and like any art, it requires practice. Don't be discouraged if it seems challenging at first. Persist, and over time these lessons will become a natural part of your being. So, as you proceed with your day, your week, your life, carry these principles with you. Use them to shape a character that not only withstands, but thrives, regardless of what life throws your way. And remember, at the heart of Stoicism is the pursuit of a good and meaningful life, a path worth treading. And now, you're more prepared than ever to follow that path. If you've made it this far, it shows an admirable dedication to seeking success and financial freedom through Stoicism. So, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment until the end, so that I know you're someone persistent, dedicated, and daring. I'll make sure your comment receives a heart as recognition of your effort. Finally, on the screen are 2 recommendations made especially for you. Choose one and start watching right now. Let's go together on this journey of transformation and personal growth.